The question Jay-Z cannot escape. On a DNA test. That is all it would take to either destroy this story forever or send one of hip-hop's most protected legacies into complete chaos. For more than a decade, Rymir Satterthwaite has publicly maintained that Sean Jay-Z Carter may be his biological father. He says he is not asking for a piece of a billion-dollar empire, a record contract, or a seat beside music. Royalty, according to his own repeated statements. He wants something far more personal, a clear answer about who he is. But that answer has never arrived. Now the controversy is heating up again. And this time 50 Cent's name is being pulled into the storm. Reports and online discussions suggest that 50 may be giving new attention to Rymir's legal fight, possibly bringing the story into a future documentary project. And when 50 Cent puts a spotlight on an old secret, that spotlight rarely stays quiet. The central claim goes back to the early 1990s. Rymir says his late mother told him that Jay-Z was his father. People close to the family have echoed parts of her account, while Jay-Z's side has rejected the matter and characterized the long-running campaign as harassment. No court has conclusively established that Jay-Z is Rymir's father, and the allegation remains disputed. Still, one question keeps surviving every legal filing, every denial, and every year of silence. Why has this never been settled in a way the public can understand? Rymir. This is not just celebrity gossip. He says it affects his medical history, his identity, his children, and the memory of his mother. To Jay-Z, the allegations threaten to drag a private claim into the center of a carefully built public legacy. And now, with cameras turning back toward the case, the silence may become louder than any answer. Where are you watching from today? Comment 1 if you believe a DNA test should settle the dispute. Or comment 2 if you think the public does not know the full story. Subscribe now, because this story only gets more complicated from here. A mother's claim becomes a son's mission, long before court filings, documentaries, and viral commentary. This story reportedly began with a private conversation between a mother and her son. Rymir has said that when he was younger, his mother repeatedly told him that the man raising him was not his biological father. At first, the name Sean Carter meant little to him. He was a child trying to live a normal life, not someone studying the personal history of one of the world's most successful rappers. But as he grew older, the name became impossible to ignore. According to Rymir's account, his mother became more direct over time. She allegedly told him that Jay-Z was his biological father and wanted him to understand the truth about his identity. After she died, that claim did not disappear. Instead, it became the foundation of a mission that would consume years of Rymir's adult life. Supporters of his case point to statements attributed to his mother and accounts from people who say they knew her. Critics argue that those statements do not prove paternity, and that resemblance, family stories, and repeated allegations cannot replace scientific evidence. That is precisely why the DNA question remains so powerful. Rymir has publicly said he is prepared to accept any result, including one that proves he is wrong. He says embarrassment would be painful, but uncertainty is worse. In his telling, a negative result would at least close the door. Silence keeps the door open forever. His critics often accuse him of chasing money or fame, but he insists he has continued working, supporting his own children, and paying for parts of the legal effort himself. Whether viewers believe him or not, that framing changes the emotional center of the story. He is not presenting himself as an heir demanding wealth. He is presenting himself as a son demanding certainty. And that distinction matters, because once the issue becomes identity instead of money, the public begins asking a harder question. How long should one person have to fight simply to learn where he came from? The legal maze that kept the truth out of reach. If this were only a private disagreement, the answer might have come years ago. But once the dispute entered the legal system, the story became a maze of jurisdictional arguments, procedural challenges, dismissed filings, disputed documents, and competing claims about what the courts were actually being asked to decide. Rymir and those supporting him have alleged that improper legal tactics prevented the core paternity question from receiving a fair hearing. They have used words such as fraud, collusion, and misconduct when describing their experiences. Those are serious accusations, and they remain allegations rather than proven facts. Jay-Z's side has reportedly rejected the campaign as baseless and burdensome. From that perspective, repeatedly responding to the same disputed claim could be seen as rewarding an effort that has already been challenged through legal channels. That creates the perfect deadlock. Rymir says, the courts have never truly reached the central question. Jay-Z's side appears to maintain that the matter has already been addressed and should not continue. One side sees unfinished justice. The other sees endless harassment. The result is a controversy that grows stronger every time it is delayed. For the public, the case seems deceptively simple. Take a test and reveal the answer. But legal disputes are rarely that clean. A court may consider jurisdiction, standing, previous rulings, document authenticity, time limits, and whether the requested relief is legally available. Those procedural issues can stop a case before biology is ever examined. Yet procedure does not satisfy an audience drawn to a human mystery. Every dismissal without a definitive answer gives supporters of Rymir another reason to believe the system is protecting power. Every renewed filing gives Jay-Z's defenders another reason to see the campaign as opportunistic. Neither side gains closure. While the allegations continue spreading across social media, podcasts, and entertainment channels. And now that renewed attention is surrounding the dispute, the legal question is no longer happening quietly. It is becoming a public test of whether fame and power can make a personal controversy impossible to resolve, or whether the controversy itself has survived because the evidence has never been strong enough. Why 50 Cent changes the entire temperature. The moment 50 Cent's name enters a controversy, the story changes. For years, 50 has built a reputation as one of hip-hop's most relentless provocateurs. He understands how to take an allegation that has been circulating in small corners of the internet and turn it into a conversation millions of people feel forced to watch. His history with Jay-Z has included competition, jokes, industry criticism, and public tension, making his involvement especially explosive. But it is important to separate confirmed actions from online speculation. Reports and commentary have suggested that 50 may be interested in Rymir's story or could include him in a documentary project. Whether that support becomes direct legal assistance, media exposure, or nothing more than public attention is not fully established. Still, even the possibility is enough to increase pressure. Why? Because Rymir has spent years trying to make the public care. 50 Cent already has the audience, the platform, and the instincts to keep a controversy alive. If he presents the story as a powerful man avoiding a simple question, viewers may respond emotionally before they ever examine the legal details. If he connects it to a broader story about secrecy and influence in the music industry, the controversy could move far beyond paternity and become a debate about accountability among hip-hop's elite. That is where the danger for Jay-Z's image becomes real. Jay-Z has survived rap battles, business criticism, marital speculation, and decades of public scrutiny. His brand is built on control. He rarely responds impulsively, and silence has often worked in his favor. But 50 Cent thrives in the space created by silence. He fills it with jokes, theories, screenshots, questions, and relentless repetition. The battle, then, may not be happening only in court. It may be happening in public perception. Rymir needs attention to keep his claim alive. Jay-Z benefits from refusing to amplify it, and 50 Cent may be the one person capable of destroying that balance by turning a long legal dispute into daily entertainment. The most powerful line, "I don't want money," of every statement Rymir has made. One line carries more emotional power than all the others. "I don't want money, I just want the truth." That sentence is important because money is the first motive many people assume whenever someone claims a connection to a wealthy celebrity. Jay-Z is not simply a famous rapper. He is a businessman whose name is associated with music, luxury brands, sports, entertainment, investments, and enormous financial influence. Any paternity allegation connected to him will immediately raise questions about inheritance, access, fame, and personal gain. Rymir has tried to remove those assumptions from the story. He says he works, supports his own family, and has not built his public message around demanding payment. He has also said that knowing his biological father matters for medical reasons. Without complete family history, he argues, he may not know what health conditions could affect him or his children in the future. That argument transforms the controversy from entertainment into something deeply human. Millions of people grow up without knowing one of their biological parents. For some, the absence becomes an unanswered emotional wound. For others, it creates practical questions about genetics, health, heritage, and identity. Rymir's supporters see his fight through that lens. They believe his persistence reflects a need that fame and money cannot erase. His critics see it differently. They question why the campaign has remained so public, and why media outlets continue repeating claims that have not been scientifically proven. They argue that saying "I do not want money" does not automatically validate the underlying story. Both reactions reveal why the case keeps dividing viewers. People are not only deciding whether they believe Rymir, they are deciding what kind of evidence should be required before a powerful person must respond to a personal allegation. They are also deciding whether silence is a legitimate boundary or a sign that something is being avoided. And the longer the uncertainty continues, the more Rymir's simplest statement becomes the emotional weapon at the center of everything. He says he can survive being proven wrong, but he cannot accept never receiving an answer. The claims that make this story dangerous: the paternity question is controversial by itself, but the story becomes far more serious when it reaches the allegations surrounding Rymir's mother's age. At the time she allegedly met Jay-Z, various commentators and people connected to Rymir's side have claimed that she was underage when the alleged relationship occurred. They have also raised questions about travel between Pennsylvania and New York. These accusations carry severe legal and moral implications, which is exactly why they must be described carefully. They have not been conclusively established in court as facts. Online commentators often present timelines, birth dates, and personal accounts as if they automatically prove what happened. But a calculation is not the same as verified evidence, and a repeated allegation is not the same as a legal finding. Viewers should understand that distinction before reaching conclusions about anyone involved. Still, the allegations dramatically raise the stakes. If the dispute were only about whether Jay-Z fathered a child before becoming famous, public reaction might be intense but manageable. Once claims involving age and consent enter the conversation, the potential damage becomes much greater. The story begins touching not only his private life, but also his public identity as a husband, father, businessman, and cultural figure. That may help explain why every legal movement attracts so much attention. Supporters of Rymir believe the seriousness of the allegations makes transparency more necessary. Jay-Z's defenders argue that the seriousness makes irresponsible repetition even more dangerous, because an unproven accusation can permanently damage a person's name. This is the point where entertainment channels often cross a dangerous line. Drama may bring views, but careless language can turn speculation into defamation. A responsible telling must preserve the tension without pretending the case has already been decided. The truth remains unknown to the public. What is known is that Rymir continues to stand behind his mother's account, while Jay-Z has not publicly accepted the paternity claim. Between those positions sits a gap filled with legal documents, media commentary, emotional testimony, and years of suspicion. And as long as that gap remains, every new voice entering the story will make the controversy more volatile. Beyoncé, family image, and the cost of public speculation. No controversy involving Jay-Z remains limited to Jay-Z for long, because his marriage to Beyoncé is one of the most visible partnerships in entertainment. Online discussion quickly pulls her into stories, even when there is little verified evidence of her involvement. In this case, some commentators have speculated that people around the family may have wanted the allegations kept away from public attention. Others have repeated hearsay, suggesting Beyoncé herself was aware of the dispute. Those claims remain unverified. There is no responsible basis for presenting Beyoncé as an active participant in suppressing a paternity case without clear evidence. Yet her name continues appearing because the public understands the story not only as a question about biology, but as a threat to an entire family image Jay-Z and Beyoncé have built a brand around power, privacy, artistry, parenthood, and survival through public pressure. Their marriage has already endured intense scrutiny, much of it fueled by music, rumors, and interpretations of private conflict. A disputed claim involving an alleged adult son naturally becomes another storyline for audiences who believe every lyric and public appearance contains hidden meaning. That does not make the speculation true, but it does reveal the reputational stakes. If Jay-Z were proven not to be Rymir's father, years of online accusations could be exposed as a damaging campaign built around an unresolved claim. If he were proven to be the father, the public would immediately question why the matter remained contested for so long. Either result would create consequences. The uncertainty may be the worst condition for everyone. Rymir remains unable to close the most personal chapter of his life. Jay-Z remains tied to an allegation that resurfaces whenever another controversy surrounds hip-hop. Beyoncé and their children become unwilling subjects in conversations they did not create. The audience becomes more polarized, with some treating resemblance as proof and others dismissing the entire case as manipulation. In the middle of that noise, the actual human beings involved become symbols. Rymir becomes the ignored son. Jay-Z becomes the silent mogul. Beyoncé becomes the protective wife. But those roles are narratives created by the public, not established facts. And when public narratives harden before evidence arrives, truth becomes harder to recognize, even if it finally appears. The Diddy shadow and hip-hop's new era of scrutiny. The timing of renewed attention could not be more sensitive. Hip-hop is experiencing an era in which old stories, private relationships, business alliances, and long-suppressed allegations are being examined with new intensity. Legal developments involving Sean Diddy Combs have caused audiences to revisit the histories of many powerful industry figures, including who was close to who attended which events, and who may have known what. That environment has pulled Jay-Z into waves of speculation. Even when specific connections are unsupported, some online voices have tried to link the paternity dispute to broader theories about powerful men protecting one another. Others have suggested that evidence emerging from unrelated cases could affect Jay-Z. Those theories should not be treated as facts without credible documentation. Yet the atmosphere matters. Years ago, a celebrity could often ignore an allegation until the news cycle moved on. Today, podcasts, live streams, archived videos, court databases, and social media accounts can keep a story alive indefinitely. Silence no longer ends a controversy. Sometimes it becomes the content. This creates a new problem for Jay-Z. Responding could give the allegation legitimacy and expand its reach. Refusing to respond allows critics to say he is avoiding the question. Seeking legal restrictions may protect privacy, but opponents may frame those actions as an attempt to silence someone. Every strategy carries a reputational cost. Rymir, meanwhile, benefits from the public's growing distrust of powerful institutions. His allegations about courtroom misconduct resonate with audiences who already believe wealth can influence outcomes. Whether his claims can be proven is a separate question, but the cultural climate makes people more willing to listen. That is why 50 Cent's possible involvement is so significant. He understands that this is no longer only about one man asking for a DNA test. It can be packaged as a symbol of a much larger battle. Ordinary people against celebrity power, personal truth against corporate image, and old secrets against a digital culture that refuses to forget. The danger is that symbolism can become stronger than evidence. Once that happens, the public may decide the verdict long before any court or laboratory does. What happens if the test finally comes? After years of accusations, denials, legal arguments, and public debate, the entire controversy still points toward one imagined moment: the DNA result. If a test conclusively showed that Jay-Z is not Rymir's father, the impact would be immediate. Rymir would face painful public embarrassment, and many of the voices that promoted his story would be forced to explain why they treated suspicion as certainty. Jay-Z could argue that he was right not to participate in what his side viewed as a long-running campaign of harassment, but even that result would not erase the human damage. Rymir would still have spent much of his life believing a story given to him by his mother. he would still have to rebuild his understanding of his identity. And the public would have to decide whether he was a deliberate deceiver or someone who genuinely believed a family account that turned out to be wrong. If a test showed that Jay-Z is his biological father, the consequences would be even larger. The public would demand answers about the years of resistance, the legal strategy, the lack of private resolution, and the emotional cost to Rymir. Every old interview, statement, court filing, and rumor would be reviewed again. The story would move from disputed allegation to confirmed family history, and the conversation would no longer be about whether Rymir deserved an answer. It would be about why the answer took so long. But there is a third possibility, the one that has already defined this case. No test, no final ruling, no closure. That outcome allows every side to preserve its own version of the truth. Rymir can continue saying, "The question was never honestly answered." Jay-Z can continue refusing to validate a claim he disputes. Commentators can keep producing theories, and the audience can keep choosing belief based on emotion, resemblance, loyalty, or suspicion. For media, uncertainty is profitable. For the people living inside the story, uncertainty is exhausting. Rymir has said he may continue fighting for the rest of his life. Whether viewers see that as courage or obsession depends on what they already believe. But one fact is difficult to dispute. This controversy has survived, not because the public knows the truth, but because the public still does not. And until something definitive changes, the question will remain attached to Jay-Z's legacy, waiting for the next court filing, the next interview, or the next person powerful enough to drag it back into the spotlight. Truth, legacy, and the price of silence. In the end, this story is bigger than one celebrity, one disputed claim, or one possible DNA test. It is about what happens when personal truth collides with public power. Jay-Z has spent decades building a legacy defined by control, intelligence, business discipline, and survival. Rymir Satterthwaite has built his public fight around a completely different kind of power, persistence. One side protects a global reputation. The other says he is protecting his identity and the memory of his mother. Strategically, silence can be effective when an accusation has no foundation. Responding to every rumor can make weak stories stronger. But silence also carries risk when the unanswered question is simple enough for the public to understand. The longer uncertainty survives, the more people begin filling the empty space with theories, emotion, and suspicion. That is the lesson powerful public figures should recognize. Reputation is not protected only by lawyers, money, or carefully written statements. It is also protected by transparency, consistency, and the willingness to resolve human questions before they become public battles. There is also a lesson for audiences and media creators. Allegations are not verdicts. Resemblance is not scientific proof. Repetition does not turn speculation into fact. Viewers should demand evidence while still respecting the emotional pain of someone searching for answers. If Rymir is wrong, he deserves the truth so he can finally move forward. If his claim is accurate, he deserves acknowledgement and a chance to heal. Either way, his humiliation, threats, harassment, and hatred will not bring justice. Only evidence, fairness, and peaceful resolution can do that. Fame should never make a person less accountable, but suspicion should never make someone automatically guilty. The most humane outcome is not another decade of public warfare. It is a clear process that respects every person involved, protects the children and families affected, and allows the truth to stand without manipulation. Now the final question belongs to you. Should this controversy be settled privately, or should the full process remain public? Comment 1 for a verified DNA test and complete transparency, or comment 2 if you believe this should remain a private family matter. Like this video, share it with someone following the story, and subscribe for more carefully researched hip-hop news, legal drama, and the stories shaping rap culture.